Former Deputy Secretary of State William Burns is highlighting what he says is the urgent need for a rebirth of American diplomacy. Burns served 5 presidents, including George W. Bush and Barack Obama, during his more than 30-year career as a U.S. diplomat. He met with world leaders, including Russian President Vladimir Putin. He also worked on the Israeli-Palestinian peace negotiations and began secret talks that led to the Iran nuclear deal. His new book is called The Back Channel, a memoir of American diplomacy and the case for its renewal. In it, Burns argues U.S. international relations are adrift at a moment when disciplined American leadership is needed most. William Burns joins us now. Welcome.
It's great to be with you.
You say that the muscles of diplomacy are atrophying. What does that mean?
I think since the end of the Cold War, when the United States was the only big kid on the geopolitical block, we tended to put less focus on diplomacy. Then 9/11, huge shock to our system. We put even greater emphasis on the military, less on diplomacy. So President Trump didn't invent these trends, but I think he's made them infinitely worse, with a disdain for the hard work of professional diplomacy, the biggest budget cuts in the modern history of the State Department. And I think that comes at just a particularly bad time when we need diplomacy more than ever.
And define for people what diplomacy means, because people see the president meeting with world leaders. Sure. Isn't that diplomacy? But you quote Kissinger, who calls it patient accumulation of partial successes.
Yeah, that's probably not the best recruitment slogan in the world. But I mean, what it reflects is diplomacy oftentimes happens in back channels, out of sight and out of mind. But it's the hard work of using all the tools of American national security policy, short of the use of force, to promote our interests and values around the world.
So that when a crisis hits, you have relationships, friendships, you know where the leverage is.
That you can draw on them, and hopefully to try to prevent or disarm crises before you have to use force, with all the huge cost and blood and treasure that comes with that.
Let me ask you about Vladimir Putin, who you dealt with when you were in Russia. President Trump seems to have a theory of the case, which is treat him well in public, and that will develop a relationship. What do you make of that strategy?
Well, I don't think it works very well with Putin. Of course, personal relationships between leaders matter enormously. But I think diplomacy and promoting American interests is not just about getting along with people. It's about the hard-nosed work of moving our interests ahead. And I think Putin tends to see efforts to curry favor with him, to indulge him, as signs of weakness and manipulability.
And let me ask, staying on Russia, what supporters of the president would say is, well, yes, he might be nice to him in public, but he's equipping forces in Ukraine. He is still staying in NATO. He's doing things that, in fact, are tough on Russia.
There's a lot of truth in that, and I think if you look at the administration, I think most people share that sensible, hard-nosed view. But if you looked at the president's performance himself at the Helsinki summit, when he basically threw 17 U.S. intelligence and law enforcement agencies under the bus and indulged Putin publicly, I think that sends, a very disturbing sign.
What is the long-term challenge for U.S. allies as they look at this administration? We've heard about the nervousness, but are they just nervous about the way the president behaves, or is there a deeper cost to the relationships that the U.S. has with its allies?
I think there's a lot of nervousness. I was with Senator Coons in Germany a few weeks ago, and I saw a poll of Germans where they were asked, what foreign leaderships can you trust? 35% they could trust Vladimir Putin's Russia. Only 24% said they'd trust President Trump's America. And that's a really troubling sign. These are amongst our closest allies in the world.
Final quick answer on North Korea. The administration wants total denuclearization on North Korea. Do you think that's possible?
No, I don't think in the foreseeable future it's possible. I think the question is, it's a smart aspirational goal, but what can you do in the meantime to reduce the dangers that North Korea poses?
All right, William Burns, we're out of time. Thanks so much for being with us. The Back Channel goes on sale tomorrow.